For centuries, mankind has gazed at the skies, wondering when the earth itself would rise in fury. When would the forces of nature remind us that we are not in control? Across the globe, signs are emerging. The earth shakes, the seas roar, and the winds howl with a fury that cannot be tamed. The prophets spoke of these days long ago, and now the warnings are unfolding before our very eyes. From the mountains of Asia to the valleys of the Americas, the ground quakes beneath our feet. Entire cities tremble as if the earth itself were crying out. Scientists record these shifts, but the ancients spoke of them centuries before seismographs existed. Matthew 24:7 warns, there will be earthquakes in various places. Are these merely natural phenomena, or are they the harbingers of a greater design? Floods sweep across nations with unstoppable force. Torrential rains drown farmlands, cities, and homes. Rivers rise, claiming everything in their path. Luke 21:11 speaks of great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places. But the earth does not stop there. Storms of unprecedented scale batter coastlines, leaving devastation in their wake. Volcanoes awaken from centuries of slumber, spewing ash that blots out the sun. Entire regions are forced to flee as rivers of molten rock consume everything in their path. Smoke and fire choke the skies, turning day into night. The writings of the prophets foretold such events. The world seems to tremble as if nature itself were shouting a warning. Fires consume forests, towns, and cities. Blazes spread with a speed that defies human control. The air is thick with smoke and despair. Every generation has faced fire, yet never has it been so relentless. From California to Australia, from the Amazon to Siberia, the world burns, echoing the cries of ancient prophecy. Even the oceans rise with unrelenting fury. Hurricanes and typhoons strike with unmatched force, tearing apart lives and livelihoods. Storm surges flood entire coastal regions, and the winds tear buildings from their foundations. It is as if the very seas are restless, fulfilling the warnings of old. In every corner of the globe, the earth reminds humanity of its fragility. Earthquakes, floods, storms, fires, and volcanic eruptions appear with alarming frequency. One cannot help but wonder, are these disasters the result of chance, or do they mark the beginning of the fulfillment of prophecies written millennia ago? Humanity watches, helpless and fearful, as nature's fury intensifies. Each disaster carries a message. The time of reckoning approaches. The signs are clear for those who have eyes to see. The earth is awakening, and its voice is loud and undeniable. The mountains shake, the rivers swell, the skies darken. The world seems to teeter on the edge of chaos. Every disaster is a reminder that humanity is not in control. The warnings of the prophets echo through time, reaching across the centuries to our present day. As the storms rage, the ground quakes, and the seas rise, we must ask ourselves, are we prepared to face the consequences of our actions? Are we ready to recognize the signs that have been foretold for millennia? The earth speaks, and it demands our attention. The wrath of nature is not punishment alone. It is a call to awaken, to reflect, and to understand the fragile balance between mankind and the world we inhabit. The time to listen is now. The signs are everywhere, and the fulfillment of prophecy is in motion. The ground trembles beneath our feet. The seas roar louder than ever. Storms ravage the lands with relentless fury. Volcanoes erupt with a force that reminds us of our fragility. Fires consume forests and cities alike. The world is changing, and history may be witnessing the beginning of what the prophets foretold. For those who pay attention, the signs are unmistakable. Earthquakes, floods, storms, and fire, the wrath of nature is awakening. The time of reckoning may be closer than we think. Humanity stands at a crossroads, facing the consequences of both nature and prophecy. The world holds its breath as the earth shakes, the waters rise, and the winds scream across the lands. The warnings of old are no longer distant whispers. They are unfolding before our very eyes. The earth itself bears witness to the words spoken long ago. Those who observe cannot ignore the patterns emerging across the globe. Disasters strike with increasing intensity. Scientists call it climate change, tectonic activity, or natural cycles. Prophets call it the fulfillment of ancient warnings. Regardless of interpretation, one truth remains undeniable. The earth is speaking, and it will not be silenced. The shaking of the ground, the rising of the waters, the fury of the storms, all of these point to a time foretold in Scripture. Matthew 24:7 and Luke 21:11 were not merely words for the past. They are words for today. Humanity must watch, listen, and prepare. The wrath of nature is both a warning and a call to awareness. The earth is alive, restless, and powerful beyond comprehension. Its voice is loud, undeniable, and dramatic in its message. Watch the signs, heed the warnings, and recognize that the world is changing. The time of prophecy is no longer distant. It is unfolding before our eyes. For generations, humanity has lived under the shadow of conflict. Nations rise and fall, leaders clash, and the cries of the innocent echo across the earth. The prophets warned us that such times would come. Matthew 24:6 tells us, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars." Today, that warning is not just words of the past. It is a chilling reality unfolding before our eyes. From the Middle East to Eastern Europe, the drums of war beat with unrelenting cadence. In Gaza, conflict rages, consuming lives and leaving destruction in its wake. Families are torn apart, homes reduced to rubble, and the cries of children pierce the night. The world watches, powerless, as violence spreads like wildfire. Farther north, the war in Ukraine continues, its shadow stretching across borders and generations. Cities are bombarded, infrastructure collapses, and millions are displaced. The echoes of past wars seem to pale in comparison to the devastation unfolding now. The prophets spoke of these times, describing a world where peace would be taken from the earth, where nations would rise against nations, and where brother would fight against brother. Every headline, every news report, every casualty is a reminder that humanity is repeating patterns foretold long ago. The earth groans under the weight of human conflict, and the cries of the suffering rise to the heavens. Revelation 6:4 describes a rider on a red horse, taking peace from the earth, leaving people to slay one another. The imagery is vivid, and the events today mirror it with unsettling clarity. Weapons of destruction grow more sophisticated, more lethal, yet the human cost remains the same. Cities burn, families are torn apart, and the innocent are caught in the crossfire. Each missile, each strike, each act of violence is a reminder of the fragility of peace. Humanity stands on a precipice, its actions echoing the prophecies written thousands of years ago. But it is not only large-scale conflicts that mark this time. Rumors of war, threats, and political tension stir unease across continents. Trade disputes, rising militarization, and aggressive rhetoric hint at a world on edge. These are the subtler signs, the undercurrents of unrest that the prophets also spoke of. Every movement, every decision, every act of aggression is a thread in a tapestry foreseen long ago. The cries of refugees, the grief of families, the silence of destroyed cities, all speak to a world engulfed in chaos. The prophecy is not merely about destruction, it is about human choice. How will humanity respond when peace is taken from the earth? Will we choose compassion, wisdom, and understanding? Or will we repeat the mistakes of the past, blinded by pride, anger, and fear? Across the globe, conflicts flare, sometimes far from these of the world, sometimes broadcasted on every screen. From skirmishes in remote regions to full-scale warfare in the heart of nations, the pattern is unmistakable. The signs are not isolated events. They are interconnected, weaving a story that stretches from Scripture into our modern reality. In every corner of the earth, the drumbeat of war reminds us of our vulnerability. The cries of the oppressed, the wounded, and the displaced rise to the heavens, echoing the timeless warnings of the prophets. Humanity faces the consequences of its choices, of its pride, and of its disregard for the sacred balance of peace. And yet, even amid destruction, the light of hope flickers. Acts of courage, of compassion, and of humanity persist. Individuals rise to protect the innocent, communities come together to heal the wounded, and voices call for diplomacy over aggression. These moments are brief, fragile, but they are proof that humanity still has the power to shape its destiny. The world stands at a crossroads. The prophecies of old are not distant tales. They are the lens through which we can see our present. Wars rage, nations collide, and peace is fragile, but the choice remains. Humanity can heed the warnings, learn from the past, and strive for a future where conflict does not define our existence. Yet the drums of war continue. Across deserts, mountains, and cities, the sounds of violence persist. Every missile fired, every battle waged, every life lost is a reminder that prophecy is not passive, it is active. And those who watch, who listen, and who understand can see the threads of history weaving together, creating a tapestry of events foretold long ago. The cries of the innocent, the smoke of burning cities, and the relentless march of armies across continents are not mere accidents. They are the signs of the times. Humanity must confront these realities, recognize the patterns, and understand that we are living in a world the prophets spoke of, where peace is fleeting and conflict defines the age. As nations rise against nations and as rumors of war spread across the globe, the words of Scripture echo louder than ever. Watch, prepare, and understand. The events of today are not random. They are the fulfillment of a prophecy that has waited centuries to unfold. The world is witnessing history, the kind that the prophets once warned would come. Across the globe, the engines of commerce are faltering. Markets crash, currencies fluctuate wildly, and millions find their livelihoods threatened by forces beyond their control. The prophets foresaw a time when economic stability would crumble, when scarcity would spread, and when the value of money would no longer guarantee safety or sustenance. Revelation 6:6 warns, "A quart of wheat for a day's wages, and do not harm the oil and the wine." Could it be that the warning is not from centuries past, but unfolding now before our very eyes? Every day, headlines speak of inflation, recession, and financial instability. Families struggle to afford basic necessities. Businesses close their doors. The wealth of nations becomes fragile, like sand slipping through desperate fingers. The economic systems designed to sustain humanity appear increasingly vulnerable, and the consequences ripple across continents. Trade tensions flare between nations, with tariffs, sanctions, and restrictions threatening to choke the flow of goods and services. Nations once allied in commerce now act with suspicion and hostility. The interwoven web of global trade trembles under pressure, hinting at a world where the ability to buy or sell could one day be restricted, as foretold in ancient prophecy. Food scarcity spreads quietly but relentlessly. Crops fail due to unpredictable weather, supply chains collapse, and prices soar beyond the reach of ordinary people. Families are forced to choose between meals, children go hungry, and the most vulnerable suffer. The words of Revelation resonate through time. Scarcity will define the days before the end, testing the endurance, faith, and resolve of humanity. Yet it is not only food or goods that are affected. Employment becomes uncertain, investments vanish overnight, and the dreams of countless individuals are shattered by the invisible hand of instability. The rich may seem insulated, but no one is truly safe from the tremors of a global economy in turmoil. The world is witnessing a precarious balance, a tension between abundance and deprivation, prosperity and collapse. Debt climbs to unprecedented levels. Nations borrow to sustain their people, but the cost grows heavier with each passing day. Financial crises erupt in rapid succession, leaving chaos in their wake. Individuals struggle to pay for essentials, governments scramble to stabilize their economies, and the gap between wealth and poverty widens with alarming speed. The signs are unmistakable. Humanity is on the brink of an economic reckoning. Technology, once a stabilizing force, now amplifies the fragility. Automated trading systems, cryptocurrencies, and digital finance create new opportunities but also new vulnerabilities. A single disruption can cascade across continents, triggering panic, mistrust, and fear. It is a world in which prosperity can vanish in a moment, just as the prophets warned. People grow anxious, uncertain, and desperate. Social unrest emerges as inequality widens. Protests flare in cities driven by the struggle for survival and justice. The moral and spiritual dimensions of the prophecy become apparent. Economic turmoil tests not only the body, but the soul, challenging humanity's compassion, resilience, and sense of justice. Yet amid the darkness, glimpses of hope remain. Communities share resources, help one another, and innovate to overcome scarcity. Small acts of generosity become lifelines for the desperate. These moments reflect a truth often hidden in the shadows of prophecy. Even in times of trial, humanity has the capacity for unity, resilience, and courage. Still, the overarching pattern cannot be ignored. Markets remain volatile, trade wars escalate, and the world economy teeters on the edge of collapse. History has witnessed financial crises, but never with such global interconnectedness. The prophet's words echo louder with each passing day, urging vigilance, awareness, and preparation. Humanity faces a stark reality. Economic collapse is not simply a financial problem, it is a test of character, faith, and foresight. The ability to endure, adapt, and act wisely will define who survives and who succumbs. The world's wealth, influence, and security are no longer guarantees. They are fleeting illusions in a fragile system stretched to its limits. As nations struggle to maintain stability, as markets fluctuate unpredictably, and as ordinary people wrestle with scarcity, the prophetic warning resonates: a quart of wheat for a day's wages. Humanity must confront the consequences of greed, mismanagement, and neglect. The choices we make now will shape the path ahead, either toward renewal or further hardship. The signs are all around us. Rising costs, disrupted trade, and social unrest are not random. They are patterns, echoes of warnings written long ago. Economic turmoil is a reality, a force that tests the resilience of nations and the endurance of individuals. The world is entering a time foretold by prophecy, a time in which survival depends not only on material resources, but on wisdom, foresight, and unity. The challenge is immense, the stakes unprecedented, and the consequences far-reaching. Humanity stands at a crossroads, faced with the choice to heed the warnings, adapt with courage, and act with compassion, or ignore the signs and suffer the consequences foretold by those who saw the future centuries before us. The world's wealth may rise and fall, but the lessons of prophecy endure. Economic turmoil is more than numbers in markets. It is a reflection of human choices, morality, and priorities. Those who watch, who listen, and who understand can navigate these turbulent times with clarity and purpose, while the unprepared risk being swept away by forces beyond comprehension. Humanity stands at a crossroads, not only in the external world, but within the heart and soul of every individual. Across nations, a quiet yet unmistakable shift has taken place. Values erode, integrity falters, and compassion is overshadowed by self-interest. The prophets foresaw such times. 2 Timothy 3:1-5 warns, "In the last days perilous times will come. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce-breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those who are good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasures rather than lovers of God." These words echo with astonishing clarity today. Across the globe, societies grapple with moral decline. Corruption spreads in governments and corporations. Leaders prioritize power over principle. The voices of truth are often silenced, while deception and manipulation flourish. Communities that once valued honesty and accountability now struggle with distrust, betrayal, and hypocrisy. The fabric of society frays thread by thread, leaving a hollow echo of what once was. Violence erupts not only on battlefields but in streets, neighborhoods, and homes. Social unrest rises as inequality deepens, injustice persists, and the voices of the marginalized grow louder in their cries for recognition. Protests sweep through cities, sometimes peaceful, sometimes violent, reflecting both the desperation and the anger that churn within human hearts. The warnings of the prophets resonate. The path of humanity is fraught with conflict not only between nations but within ourselves. Selfishness dominates. The pursuit of pleasure overshadows compassion, indulgence replaces responsibility, and materialism blinds humanity to spiritual truth. Acts of kindness are celebrated, yet often fleeting and overshadowed by greed, vanity, and arrogance. Families struggle as bonds weaken, communities fracture, and trust becomes scarce. The moral compass that once guided generations seems to spin aimlessly, leaving chaos and uncertainty in its wake. Technology, while a tool of progress, also magnifies the decay. Misinformation spreads at lightning speed, dividing societies, manipulating minds, and eroding shared values. Social media amplifies outrage, envy, and pride, fueling unrest and inflaming passions. The prophets warned that in the last days truth would be obscured and deception would flourish. Today, these warnings appear more relevant than ever. Religious institutions, once pillars of guidance and morality, are not immune. Faith is questioned, doctrines are twisted, and spiritual indifference grows. Many pursue self-interest over virtue, while a few stand as beacons of light amidst a growing darkness. The struggle between good and evil is not distant. It is lived every day in choices large and small. Families and communities are strained under the weight of modern pressures. Parenting is challenged by distractions, disconnection, and conflicting values. Respect and reverence, once cornerstones of society, are challenged and sometimes discarded. The bonds that hold societies together weaken, leaving individuals vulnerable to selfishness, deceit, and despair. Yet amid the turmoil, sparks of hope remain. Individuals choose courage over complacency, honesty over deception, and love over selfishness. Acts of kindness, compassion, and bravery stand as quiet rebellions against the tide of moral decay. These acts, though small, carry immense significance, for they remind humanity that choice still matters, that light persists even in the darkest times. The social fabric is tested. Communities confront challenges of inequality, injustice, and corruption. People must grapple with the consequences of moral compromise, not only for themselves, but for future generations. The warnings of 2 Timothy are not merely abstract, they are lived reality. Humanity must face the consequences of indifference, pride, and the rejection of timeless truths. As unrest spreads, as values erode, and as societies fracture, the world becomes a reflection of the prophetic words written millennia ago. Humanity's struggle is both external and internal, a battle between self-interest and virtue, chaos and order, darkness and light. The choices made today will resonate for generations, shaping the course of nations and the destiny of souls. The challenge is immense, the stakes profound, and the consequences far-reaching. Yet within this decay, the potential for redemption persists. Humanity can choose to act with wisdom, to restore integrity, and to embrace the principles that have endured across time. The path forward is not without difficulty, but the capacity for renewal remains. The world bears witness to a moral crossroads. Selfishness, greed, corruption, and unrest are undeniable. Yet courage, integrity, and compassion persist in pockets of light. The prophet's words echo louder than ever, urging humanity to recognize the signs, confront the decay, and strive for righteousness. The time to awaken is now, for the future of society, of nations, and of humanity itself hangs in the balance. Above the world, the heavens themselves bear witness to the times. Celestial signs, once rare and awe-inspiring, now appear with startling frequency, as if the sky itself were proclaiming a message to humanity. The prophet spoke of these days long ago. Luke 21:25-26 declares, "There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and on the earth distress of nations in perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world." The heavens are speaking, and the world cannot ignore their message. Meteors streak across the night sky, their brilliance a reminder of forces beyond human control. Comets, rare and magnificent, appear unexpectedly, stirring awe and fear in equal measure. Solar flares erupt with power that can disrupt technology, communication, and infrastructure. These phenomena, once considered mere curiosities, now take on a new significance. They are signals, warnings, and reminders that the universe itself participates in the unfolding story of prophecy. Astronomers record unusual alignments of planets and stars, rare eclipses, and cosmic events that have not been seen for generations. While science seeks to explain these occurrences, the prophets offer another perspective. These are not random. They are signs, portents of what is to come, markers of the human journey toward a moment of reckoning. Distress grips nations as celestial phenomena coincide with earthly turmoil. Storms, earthquakes, and unrest appear synchronized with remarkable precision. The world seems to teeter on the edge as if the universe itself were orchestrating a warning. People sense it intuitively. Fear, awe, and an unexplainable anticipation ripple through communities, hinting at the unseen forces at work. Amid these signs, humanity is called to reflection. Spiritual awakening stirs in hearts and minds. People search for meaning, for guidance, and for hope beyond the visible world. Ancient texts, long studied and sometimes dismissed, now resonate with renewed urgency. Prophecies once considered distant warnings are now immediate, and those who observe the heavens are compelled to seek understanding. Religious leaders, scholars, and seekers of truth point to these celestial signs as evidence that a greater narrative is unfolding. It is a time for contemplation, for repentance, and for awakening to forces far larger than human comprehension. The heavens call not only for awareness but for action, the recognition that life is fragile and destiny is intertwined with choices, faith, and understanding. The sky reveals patterns, symbols, and movements that invite interpretation. Every comet, eclipse, and solar flare becomes a question. Are we ready to see, to understand, and to act? The prophets assured humanity that these signs would appear before the culmination of events foretold long ago. The heavens are not silent. They proclaim a story written in light and shadow across the firmament. As fear and awe mingle in human hearts, spiritual awakening grows. People turn to prayer, meditation, and reflection. Communities gather to seek guidance and comfort. The search for meaning intensifies, reminding humanity that the fulfillment of prophecy is not only a matter of external events, but of internal transformation. The heavens call for awareness, humility, and alignment with eternal truths. Even amid chaos, hope persists. The celestial signs, though awe-inspiring and sometimes terrifying, also serve as reminders of a larger plan. Humanity is invited to rise above fear, to recognize patterns, and to act with courage, compassion, and faith. The stars, the sun, and the moon become beacons, guiding those who are willing to see beyond the surface of the world. The heavens declare a truth that cannot be denied. Time is moving, events are unfolding, and humanity stands at a pivotal moment in history. The signs are all around, in the sky and on the earth, calling for recognition, reflection, and action. Spiritual awakening is no longer a distant possibility, it is a necessity. As people awaken to the messages in the heavens, they find clarity amidst confusion. They discover purpose amidst chaos. They embrace faith, hope, and the timeless guidance offered by the prophets. The universe itself seems to participate in the orchestration of events, reminding humanity that destiny is shaped not only by the physical world, but by spiritual insight and conscious choice. The signs in the heavens are both warning and invitation. They illuminate the path forward, urging humanity to rise above fear, recognize the fulfillment of prophecy, and seek alignment with forces far greater than ourselves. The universe speaks, and those who listen find themselves awakened, prepared, and guided toward a future shaped by wisdom, courage, and faith. Humanity looks to the skies and sees the evidence of a story unfolding, a prophecy coming to life. The celestial signs are unmistakable, the message clear. The time of awareness, reflection, and spiritual awakening is now. The heavens call, and the world must answer. The signs are all around us. The earth trembles, the waters rise, storms rage, nations clash, economies falter, morality wanes, and the heavens declare their message. Every moment, every event, every whisper of the wind carries a reminder that humanity stands at a crossroads. Yet amid the turmoil and uncertainty, hope remains. The prophets warned of darkness, but they also spoke of light. Even in the shadows, humanity has the power to choose, to act with courage, to embrace compassion, to seek truth, and to turn hearts toward what is good and eternal. The time to awaken is now. The warnings are clear, the signs unmistakable, and the future hangs in the balance. We are called to watch, to reflect, and to prepare, not in fear, but in awareness. Every choice matters. Every action resonates across the world and across generations. Look to the earth and see its fragility. Look to the skies and see their majesty. Look within yourself and see the capacity for courage, wisdom, and love. Humanity is not powerless. The unfolding of prophecy is not merely a story of destruction. It is a story of awakening, of transformation, and of the chance to rise above chaos. As the storms calm, as the sun breaks through the clouds, and as the heavens shine above, remember this: the future is not fixed. The signs guide us, the prophets warn us, and the world waits for humanity to choose the path of light. The time of reflection, action, and awakening is now. Watch closely. Listen carefully. Understand deeply. The signs have begun, and the story is still being written. The question remains, will we heed the call? Will we rise? Or will we turn away and ignore what is unfolding before our very eyes? The choice is ours. The moment is here. The world is watching, and so are the heavens.